Good afternoon or good early evening or good evening, depending on where you're at. Welcome to week 6 in CE 155. We made it, everybody. Hey, good job. This class has rocked the house. Chef Suzanne and I could not be happier with the performance of this class. We have a great GPA. A lot of people are stepping up to the plate and making it happen, and that's what the world of culinary arts is all about. So Chef Suzanne and I want to take a moment to thank everybody and certainly acknowledge how much fun it's been over the past 5 weeks so far of working with everybody. And that's really the big reward for us as instructors. We obviously do it to feed our families, but the real payday is when we see everybody succeed and we learn about the different things that everybody has accomplished so far. So how's everybody liked it so far? I want to hear some comments. Who wants to share? So somebody speak up. Ronald, I noticed you unmuted yourself. What's going on, buddy?
Well, nothing. It's just, you doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. This class has, showed us a whole new way of looking at the kitchen and basically dissecting the kitchen and, utilizing what you need and basically, it's an eye opener,
You, my friend, just brought up one of the most valuable points that destroys so many chefs is regardless of how long you've been doing this, there is still more to learn. And I think that's what you were just saying. And that is the best attitude that you can possibly have, because the only thing that's going to happen is you are going to continue to grow in this industry. I've seen so many young chefs or so many people that get out of culinary school, they know it all. And they get shut down because there's so many different ways to peel an apple. The more exposure you have, the better off you're going to be. So thank you for those comments. Yeah. Who else wants to share? Gabriel, what about you?
By far, this has definitely been a huge eye opener. Like you said, no matter how long you've been doing it, when you really get down to what we're doing in this course, I'm one of those people that's struggling. For me, if it came down to all of this, I would reach out to my chef companions and ask for advice. And what do you think about this or this? And, since this is kind of an online class, not that I still can't reach out, but, when you're really trying to do it on your own, it's a little bit more difficult. And the only difference in the real world between what we're doing now is I would turn to somebody and say, hey, I would get 3 or 4 opinions before any real decisions were made, and really see the flow and the steps. It's just kind of something I'm dealing with at work right now, where we kind of like a scoop and serve for lunch. And they want to add a hot dog roller and a pizza warmer 10 feet away from the hotline where everybody's eating from. Trying to convince the higher ups that I have a food warmer right behind me for pizza, which is 2 cents, not 10. And, just all that comes into play, time. And now you're adding 2 more pieces of equipment that need to be maintained and cleaned every day.
That's a great point. It's amazing. We've talked a lot about footsteps over the past 5 weeks, and you don't think about it, right? It's like spending an extra 10 cents at the store. It doesn't really matter to most of us, but that additional 10 cents on an accumulative basis adds up to be a lot after a while. And that's exactly what this footstep thing is all about. Yeah. So great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and not only for the back of the house, that also goes for front of the house too, so it's, like an overall thing that, it's like for the front of the house going into the kitchen, full hands in, full hands out, that whole concept. So, there's a lot of ways that, when you talk about steps, I just got one of those watches that records everything. And, at the end of the day, I'm looking at 16,000 steps.
It's amazing, right? Yeah.
I'd be 12 and then go to soccer practice for 2 hours. You know, it's just I'm just trying to keep my eyes open.
Yeah, and if you can reduce your footsteps by 25%, that's a pretty significant amount. That would have equated to 3,500 footsteps on 16,000. So I mean that's a lot. So thank you for those comments. I really appreciate that. Ladies and gents, tonight's class is going to be very interactive. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions from everybody, and I would expect your participation in return. So as I ask these questions, I ask that you raise your hand, and I will get to you because I'm flying solo tonight. I really wish Chef Suzanne was here, but unfortunately she's not. So, and I'm sure she bids all of you farewell. I know that she's really enjoyed working with this class. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our class page for next week, or this week rather. Research materials. You're going to refer back to the prior 5 weeks. Just take a look at some of that information. And then putting it all together is our assignment this week. And that is the big information on our class page. So moving forward, we're going to take a little trip backwards. We're going to do a little reflection here over the next 45 minutes or so about the first 5 weeks in this class, because it's all going to build into developing your assignment for this week, which is bringing it all together, which is kind of a cool assignment. And having some technical difficulties. All right, there we go. So let's switch over and take a look at, let's get Kelly's question here real quick. Kelly, what's going on?
I have a question. I resubmitted my my assignment for this week. Can I still resubmit it, or is it too late since it's the end?
For this week?
Yes, I just last week I just resubmitted it today.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're safe. We're going to talk about all that here in just a minute. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So moving over to our slide presentation. This slide presentation has already been posted onto your class page. So if I go a little too quick and I miss anything, you certainly have this to be able to refer to. It's listed under weekly presentation on the week 6 class page. Remember, everybody, to take that end of course survey. It is worth about 5% boost to your grade. So take a few minutes. It's located at the top of the class page. And if you did not take the mid-course survey, reach out and talk to me. I'll open it back up so you can take that, because that is worth extra credit as well. So if some of you are a little bit on the edge, those two things are going to help you out. For those of you that are trying to get to that perfect 100, this is going to help you out as well. So take a few minutes to do that. We really appreciate all the feedback. You will learn this when you get into industry. I remember as a young chef, when I served a plate of food and somebody said, "Oh, I don't like it," it hurt my feelings. As an older chef, when somebody gives critique about the class, "Hey, we should have learned a little bit more of this, we should have focused on that," it helps because we developed the program based on your comments. So take a few minutes to fill out that end of course survey. And then all assignments this week are due no later than Sunday, March the 31st. By 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. We cannot take any late submissions because Chef Suzanne is closing this class out and turning it around. And we have 2 large classes that we're starting on Wednesday. So we're at a real quick turnaround this time. So make sure you get all work submitted no later than Sunday, March 31st by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That includes all makeup assignments, anything that you missed. Get a hold of me if you want to submit something again. I'm going to work with you and we're going to make it happen. And then please remember to stay in touch with Chef Suzanne and I after this class. We were talking about that before the class this evening. We love to hear about your successes. We are a resource in the industry. As you grow and you buy your own plates or you become an executive chef or an executive sous chef, hey, it's cool to bounce ideas off of us. We're always here to say, hey, that's a great idea, or hey, no, I don't like that. So, hey, we're just another source. Networking in this industry is invaluable. So make sure that you take advantage of the opportunity. Chef Suzanne and I want to stay in touch with everybody. So please do that. We would appreciate it. And once again, everybody, Congratulations. You deserve a pat on the back. That's pretty bad, isn't it? Pat of butter. Get it? Yeah, it's exciting. All right, ladies and gents, here we go. So week 1. Who remembers week 1? What did we do? What's that, Mary Lou?
Made a menu.
Made a menu. So week one, we did our station maps. Most of us had to recreate a menu, a simple 5-item menu. And we learned about how we place those on stations and what the mise en place is. What I want to hear from some of you, if some of you want to share, how did that change your opinion? Would you have done it the same way this time if you had to redo it again? No? Paul, what would you change?
Well, I would have made the menu easier to arrange my equipment to get the food out quicker.
Valid point. Valid point. You know, the more experience you have in this industry, you're going to find the more simple that you want to do things. And it comes down to a matter of efficiency. And I hope that some people take that away from this class. Who else wants to share about that? Does anybody else think a little bit differently about laying that station map out? Anybody?
I know I've decided that I'm probably going to have a brick and mortar kitchen
Uh-huh.
rather than a food truck or a food trailer.
Yeah.
That's the main. It's just going to be for what I want to do. It's just going to be easier to have a base kitchen, you know, a real kitchen.
Because I remember you talking at the beginning of the course, and you were kind of on the edge. And I remember you talking about food truck, you know, commissary kitchen, all this other kind of stuff. And it sounds like this kind of helped you zero in on doing one thing or the other.
And my menu would be completely different. The menu that I did in week 1, I might keep a couple of those ideas, but just the ideas probably wouldn't keep exactly that. And a couple of them I'd just completely throw out. So yeah, it's completely changed. It's changed the way I look at where I work. And where I work now drives me crazy.
Good job. Hey, Kelly, did you still have a question?
No, I was just going to say it made me realize because I initially was going to have a smaller menu and a smaller restaurant, and I still feel the same about it.
Uh-huh.
Just because, I mean, it can be stressful and everything, and I just want to keep I decided to stay the same, so I didn't change on that end as far as wanting to have a bigger place.
Good. So that means that you were in a good frame of mind to begin with.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of us, we want more. It's kind of the American way, right? Bigger is better. You know, more is better. And when you get into the restaurant business, we don't always think that way. So things change. So moving on to week 2, we got into deciding our restaurant location for our concept. And we learned quite a bit that week, and we learned about what we have to do to develop the ability to choose the location as far as developing some of our revenues so we can understand how much money we make, so we can decide how much rent we could pay. And then we also talked a lot about target markets and what would be going on in the neighborhood, the demographics, and that type of thing. Who wants to share about that one? I remember Mary Lou was, you had kind of an interesting perspective on that. Didn't you, weren't you like on the busy road by the hospital? Was that you?
Yeah, I was. And actually, it's like after we did this class, I kept looking further into it. And it's like the location that I have looked at is great. I mean, there's upcoming neighborhoods, a bunch of millennials. It's really close to a military installation, hospitals, and a lot of things are opening in that part of town, which is great. But I went back, and it's like just with that construction, and it's the main interstate that runs through there. For you to get to anything on that area, you have to get that interstate. And then considering to do construction, that there was really like an eye-opener, because it's like, you know what, it sounds good. But at the same time, as I started researching more, there was a cinema that was also going to be opening, and they've even pushed that back. So I'm like, okay, so a cinema that, I mean, I think the cinema is a little easier, in my opinion, versus a restaurant is willing to push back. Why do I think I'll be successful with all that going on? So that for me was a big eye opener.
So those are great comments. So, learning about the areas is a huge thing. Thank you, Mary Lou. Charles, what's going on?
How's it going, Chef? I've already opened up a restaurant before, and this is my second time through this class. But had I known the information in week 2 and week 1 and 3, 4, 5, then I probably would not have used my own money to open up the restaurant. The location I thought was great. It already had the vendor hood, but it was a donut shop ahead of time, and I brought in basically a soul food place. I didn't know the demographics of it, but it was right off the interstate, right in the neighborhood. And I thought, okay, I can just walk in here and do it. And I signed a progressive contract, and progressive meaning first 3 months were free, second 3 months to $500. And the next 6 months was $1,000, and she wouldn't let me sign a lease past that. But looking at this, I went back and doing the class this time, I went and did the demographics for the area with the restaurant that I want. And there's no doubt I know exactly why it did not work out. So
I'm glad that you had to learn that in this. I don't know if it's good that you learned that.
Basically, I've been cooking for 20 some odd years, and I've made great money in the corporate sector, and I basically took my 401k and my savings and said, you know what, you cook your butt off, let's do it. And I kept it open for about 2.5 years. It just got to the point where the rent kept going up, traffic wasn't there, the construction was happening. They built a racetrack literally 300 feet from the building. So you just can't compete with racetracks selling 99-cent hot dogs. You just can't do it. So
I'm on your side. I'm on your side, Charles. I've had a very successful career, and I've owned a bunch of restaurants. And I get asked frequently, "How come you don't open another place? Why aren't you doing it?"
Do one, you understand it.
No.
Yeah. 80-hour weeks in corporate has nothing to do with opening your own restaurant. It's more like 160-hour. I mean, it destroyed my marriage. You have no time. I mean, that's like a child. From sun up to sundown, 2 hours of sleep, sun up again. So it's great. I mean, week 2 was the one that really, because I look back on it. It was a couple of years ago. I looked back and said, why? Because I know the food was good. I had great customers. I had repeat customers. I mean, I was running for a place that only set 10 or 15 people. I was running $2 or $3 grand a week easily.
That's pretty good.
For a small place. I mean, but still, when your rent's going up and it's not as consistent, you have great days, and then when you forget about Dallas, so the state fair comes in. When the state fair comes in, McDonald's don't make money. So, those 2 weeks of nothing, it kills you.
Yo, I know. Thanks for sharing, Charles. That's awesome, man. I appreciate those comments. Those are great. Yeah, Kelly, did you have another comment?
Oh, no, I forgot to put my hand down. Sorry.
Okay. Gabriel, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on what Mary Lou was saying. With that, if it is a prime location, but the construction's gonna go on now, maybe keep your eye out. Maybe some of that property, the value will go down, and you might end up owning one of those buildings. Get it super cheap because if it's like a project that's gonna take 3 or 4 years, that's gonna hurt whatever's in that area. So. But in 5, 6 years, then it's going to be boom. And they got to make the roads right for the people to get there.
Right.
So, you got to be able, maybe look at it, maybe grab a positive out of it. Maybe, if there's a really cool place that, that you got your heart set on, the price of that might go down like during this construction, or if there's a business in it, it'll probably go under. And then,
And you know what? That's a valuable point that you bring up, because it never hurts to ask. And, a lot of times landlords come off as though, hey, it's $5,000 a month and that's what you're going to pay. and here's the lease, please sign it. It's up to your creativity and the amount of questions that you ask to get things reduced. Everything is negotiable in this world, especially when it comes to rents. And a lot of people talking about locations, when they go to sign their rents, Charles made me think of this. When you go to sign your rents, people think, okay, it's amortizing, meaning that it's kind of spread out the increase over a year or so. We're going to start at $500 a month, and you think, oh, I can do it. That's not a problem. Think realistically, though, because if you sign a 3-year lease, at $1,000 a month, right, that's a $36,000 commitment that you just made, and people oftentimes don't think about it in that bulk fashion. $36,000 is a lot of money to be working with, and so you need to be very conscientious about that type of stuff. Ashley, did you have a comment? Ashley.
I was kind of a comment, but it was kind of just basically this has been the hardest class ever to me, and I'm usually like acing everything, and this has really I don't know if it's just the time frame that it's been in with such hectic stuff, but this has really got my mind frazzled, like literally. And I think this is where I really have always been in my aspect of trying to start my business. That right here, it really pushes me to just I guess walk by faith, because it's really boggled my mind. I understand, positioning things, and I understand that, but when it comes down to just getting it going, getting it, understanding, and everything laid out, I don't grab it all. I don't think even with the money wise of how, because I'll do something, people like, well, you charging too little. And I'm thinking, well, when I look at it from how they're showing me in class, I'm charging right, but they're like, well, it's worth a lot more. And like you said, if you go into another demographic, somebody say, well, this area will pay a whole lot more for what you have because it's so good. And I'm like, but then I'm trying to, I guess, cater to the people that I don't want to have to charge so much. Yeah. So I'm getting it from every angle of everywhere. I'm just all over it. I've never been all over like this.
So Ashley, that tells me, you know what that tells me? It tells me you're on the right path, because it tells me that you're thinking about all this from different angles and you're learning a lot. And that's what this is all about. And, sometimes having your eyes open and seeing these things, you don't necessarily have to conceive it right away. And it doesn't necessarily have to make sense right away. It didn't to me initially. Years down the road, it does now, and it's second nature. But be patient with yourself. Keep trying to understand. Keep doing your homework. And you can always reach out to us. Shoot me an email down the road when you're ready to open up your own place and say, hey, Chef Warren, what do you think about this? And I'll take a look at it, and I'll share my opinion. I don't mind. So hang in there, Ashley.
All right. Thank you so much, Chef.
You're welcome. Who do we got next? Charles, did you have another comment? No, you good? Mary Lou, what's up?
No, Chef, I'm good. I guess I just didn't put my hand down. I'm sorry.
You're good, man. What about you, Mary Lou?
I think Gabriel was before me.
April.
Gabriel.
Oh, Gabriel. Oh, go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on, I think, I struggled really hard with this class. I mean, I've done all my assignments. I don't have any of them turned in because they're all not done. Just so fighting myself on some of the stuff. But and that brings me to the point of, one of the reasons why I'm taking a Scoffier is because, maybe I will own a food truck, but that's as far as I'm going to take it. Other than that, I just want to get paid well to let somebody else be the boss and just let me.
That's all right.
You know what I mean? And it's just so much easier when you come from an owner's standpoint. There's a lot of chefs I know that they've owned restaurants and they're like, you know what? Throw me on the line. Throw me in saute, or you know what I mean? Just let me bang out some dishes, and I don't want to deal with all of this stuff we're learning. You know what I mean? It's just, it's and that's why a lot of people do that. And, and I feel the same way. I don't necessarily want to own a restaurant. I believe smaller is better. Do, 7 to 10 items and execute them very well. And every time it's a hole in one, and change your menu.
It's my advice. get your experience underneath somebody else and let them pay for it, just like you're doing right now. And when you're ready to do your own place, you'll have all that experience in your pocket. Because right now, what you're doing, in my perspective, you're doing a fantastic job and you're doing the right thing. And for those of you that do go on to become career line cooks or career sous chefs, hats off to you, man. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That is a great way to go. It's kind of funny, and I just had to write something about this individual. I worked with, I became the chef at a DoubleTree hotel, and the breakfast cook, his name was Raheem. He had been cooking eggs on that line for 35 years. And I walked in there and I was judgmental towards this guy. I'm like, 35 years cooking eggs? What is your problem? And it turned out, once I really opened my eyes and I took advantage of his experience and his stability, I learned a lot from him. And he turned out to be a very wise individual. There's nothing wrong with doing that. He was an extremely reliable employee, did the best he possibly could. He was a rock star. He held that kitchen together on a lot of mornings. Hey, hats off to him. And then there's other people that just want to keep climbing that ladder and opening up places, and hats off to them all.
Yeah, can I make a comment?
Sure.
So, I was in the middle of Indiana in Fort Wayne working at this restaurant, and I look over to the side and ask the guy next to me, hey, what brings you here? And he's like, I dropped out of MIT just to be a line cook.
Yeah.
Some people just simplicity, just like you said, just, some people just work, and some people, just like, hey, I'm just going to make lasagna and be happy with life, and
yeah,
they can have the whole world if they wanted, but sometimes cooking just makes everybody happy, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I was with Sheridan for a lot of years, and we had a very large table that we did all the banquet prep. This is a very high volume banquet property. We did about 1,000 banquet covers every day, and so we're always back there slicing and dicing and prepping. And we had a new fellow that joined us at the table. I didn't look at him right away because I was just slicing and dicing, and I could hear his voice. And he had a very proper English tone to it. And, he was a prep cook, and, I look over and he's probably about his mid-40s, and he doesn't look right? You could tell this guy is extremely well educated, the way he's handling himself and the way he's enunciating all his words, etc. Turns out that he was the executive vice president for Land Rover USA and quit his job to pursue becoming a culinarian. And so, it's all over. Let's move on. Who's next? Mary Lou, what's going on?
Really quick, I just wanted to touch on what Ashley said, and it's so true. Our pricing, I know for me that kept like bumping me at the beginning, where I was like, okay, I know I could make it for a minimum price, but it's like you kept emphasizing, obviously, if it's that good of a quality, bump up the price. You want to make a profit. And it's like, you know what? I had to turn back and look at it as if when you go shopping for shoes, yes, you could buy the most inexpensive shoes, but is it going to be the same quality if you buy the little more expensive? So it's like, if you want the better quality, bump it up. And it's like, don't think as I'm the one that's buying it, so I don't want to pay for that. Guess what? We might not, but somebody out there does want to pay that price for what we're making. And I think what we price our food really states of how much pride we take in ourselves and what we're doing, and how confident we are that it is really good.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, because that's a very it's kind of opening Pandora's box, because food pricing in the restaurant industry is an extremely critical subject. Raising or lowering prices in the restaurant industry is tough, because you either abstain or invite. When you raise your pricing, you abstain the value seekers. When you lower your prices, you invite the value seekers, and you abstain from the people that are after the quality. So it's a really delicate situation. It needs to be very well thought out. You need to have purpose behind your decision, if that makes sense, right? And I think what Mary Lou was just saying, if she was going to charge a higher dollar price, her purpose behind that is representation of the quality of the product that she purchases and the time and the effort. You have to bring that forth in your marketing to get people to understand that. So it's a sale. That's what it is. Great comment, Mary Lou. Who's got another comment? Man.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think Mandy was up.
Mine's real quick, and I'm sure what Mary Lou was saying is a lot of what I was dealing with when I was talking about the pricing. I turned 45 about 2 weeks before I started this class.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to go to cooking school. I've always wanted to own my own place, but it's been in that dream area.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't until this class that that reality, the business reality hit me. And because it's really caused me to not want to give up on my dreams, so to speak, but rethink, well, maybe tweak the dream.
Mm-hmm.
My own place, isn't what is going to make me happy. Maybe there's that spot working for someone else that's going to have the right amount of freedom, the right amount of creative control, the right amount, blah, blah, blah. And
you need to experience that before you go out on your own.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I'm just
slow down. Yeah, that's my recommendation. Everybody out there needs to realize one thing. Business people in this world are very good at business. We are different. We are business people with incredible talents to create and operate kitchens, right? And our passion is our business as well. So we're a lot more complicated than your traditional business person, your traditional business guy that's opening up an Ace Hardware, right? He's a retail guy and all he's trying to do is sell stuff. We create, we develop, we imagine, and then we sell our products. And so we're a little bit more complicated. So you really got to slow down, take your time, get that experience to learn it and understand it. So great comment, Andy.
And my deal with the pricing is I make something and I'm proud of it. I'm a big old ham. I'll stand on stage and talk all night. But I'm like, when it comes to putting it out there, I'm like, do you like it? Do you like it? I have worn my friends and family out in this course because I'm like, but do you like it? It tastes like that. But
Andy, I'm going to give you one word of advice.
Yeah.
If your P&L likes it at the end, if your P&L looks good at the end of the month, that means they liked it.
Yeah, I got to harden up.
If the money, that means they didn't like it. And that's what it comes down to. And that's the reality of the food business. So great comments. Thanks, Mandy. Charles, what's up?
All right. I wanted to comment with Ashley as well, because I also had faith when I opened up my restaurant. Faith requires you to believe. However, knowledge will always surpass it. Mm-hmm. You have to have the knowledge of what you're doing. Like if I had taken this class 8 years ago, I still have my restaurant to this day. I had the faith to go in there and do it, and I busted my tail and got it. And as far as the pricing, with what we've learned in this class and what I believe that, every classmate we have has that desire, that passion, that beautification. My grandfather told me, if it's worth it, they'll pay for it.
Yep.
If it's worth it, they will pay for it. You get what you pay for. You charge somebody $20 for a burger, you better give them a $20 burger.
Yep.
But they will do it. Faith will not keep your business open. You said it right. P&L. Mm-hmm. P&L. That will let you know everything right there, sir.
You brought up a valid point, Charles, and the bottom line to that is have faith in your knowledge.
Yes. Faith without works is dead, true enough, but knowledge to know what to do, when to do it, and why you're doing it will outweigh all of that. Faith is great, and you've got to have faith to step out. Or you have faith in yourself, have faith in your higher power, have faith in whatever to step out and do it on your own. But the knowledge of how to do it, that's what this class has given us.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. A lot of us, and I was in the same shoes. When I was younger in this industry, I wanted to jump out and I wanted to rock and get out and open my own door. That's what I wanted. But you have to slow down and gain the experience before you can do it, because there are so many little innuendos, and you've only learned a portion in this class of the reality out there. And that other portion is what you get from experience. And that's what you need under your belt. Give yourself a little bit of time. Watch somebody else make the mistake, then go do it the right way. So great comment. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. Gabriel, did you have another comment before we move on to week 3?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like how you're saying that we're a different breed than other businessmen. And, right now I work for people that they don't have experience with kitchens and they're just businessmen. And it's hard to get them to understand, this world, and it is really tough. So, I think, one of the things I'm definitely learning is how to deal with these businessmen because, like you're saying, Mary Lou, they'll pay if it's good.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I know in day 1 in this class, we talked about professionalism and we put up our classroom policies and all that other kind of stuff. This is where that comes into play. Professionalism is a huge thing. You come from one mentality. You have that mentality. You're operational, you're creative, you're there to drive your P&L. That's what your mentality is. You're working with a business person, an investor, a shareholder, or an owner, or a banker that has one primary focus, the P&L, right? Your professionalism is what creates that relationship. I tried and I've gone into their office with my fist and I've yelled and I've used 4-letter words. I was completely unsuccessful. Nothing happened except bad things. But as I grew and I became more mature, I learned how to communicate with these people and, express what my concerns were. They have one interest. Their interest is what's called ROI. Everybody needs to learn that term, ROI. If I put that hot dog machine in, what am I going to get back? What is my return on investment, right? And all of you that are out there looking and considering opening up a place like Mary Lou, and I'll pick on you for a second, if you decide to open up that location near the cinema by the construction zone, whoever or wherever you get the money from, they're going to have one concern. What is my ROI? And if you can go back to a banker or an owner, shareholder, or whomever, and talk to them in that language, then they're much more likely to work with you and understand what's going on. So does that make sense to everybody? Ladies and gents, let's rock on to week 3 here so we can catch up. I don't want to go too far over. Week 3, we began working on our front of the house. This is foreign territory for a chef, right? This is not our forte, but guess what? As we continue to grow in this industry, Chef and B is what that position is called. Chefs are taking over the entire restaurant. The kitchen is traditionally referred to as the heart of the house. We did our mood board, so we got to take a look on the inside of your head to see what your ideas were. And then we learned about service stations and foyers and all the essential areas in the dining room. Whose perspective changed on dining rooms? Did anybody's perspective change after that assignment? Anybody? Paul, what happened to you? Paul, you're muted. There you go.
All right.
Paul.
How about that?
There you go. There you
go. When we were given how many square feet we were allowed per chair, and that was going to drive everything. It was going to drive the size of the kitchen, and it was going to drive the layout. And so yeah, that was a hard thing to make work for me.
Yeah.
I had to change the size of the kitchen, the dining room, to be smaller.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? And we've mentioned this already, but it comes down to money. And those of us that are culinarians and chefs, we have these grand visions of this kitchen back there that's this beast and beautiful. And then we have this little tiny dining room, and then we don't figure out why our numbers don't work, right? Because you have to remember that dining room is what pays for that kitchen, right?
It's a complicated equation. It's not it's not 1 + 1. It's a lot of moving parts to the size of the front of the house, the back of the house, where you're going to have it, where you're going to have the trash cans. That was like I'm struggling. Where am I going to put the trash can instead of the sink?
Yeah. And I remember the first portion of my career, I spent cussing architects. Can't they design kitchens and don't they know? And then, wait a second, I understand why they did that now. Yeah, it resorts to money. Great comment, Paul. Thank you very much for sharing that. Alexandria, what's up?
Hey, Chef.
Hey.
So as far as like front of the house, so I was doing some research over the weekend because I was trying to see how to go about getting a liquor license. So in the state of Tennessee, they require you to have a business plan, and you have to have limited. You have to serve at least 40 patrons. So I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. So I had to take that in consideration with my front of the house design. So now I'm kind of like, now I gotta kind of re-scrap the idea, and now I have to make it fit the requirements to legally, be the legal requirements to own, to have the liquor license.
They really get involved, don't they?
They really do. So that really had me thinking. So just in case anybody didn't know that, I know that's a requirement for the state of Tennessee. So kind of check your state laws if you want to serve liquor.
Oh, they are tough. And I'll tell you a quick story. For my third restaurant, we needed our liquor license, and they were delaying the opening process. And we'd done all the diagrams, we filled all the paperwork, we went through all the background checks, did everything, paid them, and still couldn't get our license. It was delayed. So what I did is I made 4 large pizzas and 2 hamburgers, and I walked into the Department of the Alcohol, the state liquor license department down here in Tucson, Arizona, and I fed all the receptionists. In 2 days, I had my liquor license.
Well, hey, maybe
figure it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, they're people too, and they eat. So I'm not telling you to bribe the people. I'm not suggesting that, but make sure you follow what they recommend and do what they say. Here in Arizona, or in my community, if I want to open up a bar, they will not issue me a liquor license. I have to buy a used liquor license. They don't issue them, right? And a used liquor license, right now, they run right around $250,000.
What's the difference between a liquor license and a used liquor license?
Well, there's different classifications of liquor licenses, right? One would be here in Arizona, I can speak out, which is called the Class 7, which is a restaurant liquor license where you have 60% food sales, 40% liquor sales. However, there's a bar license where you're about 70% alcohol, 30% food. Those licenses are very difficult to get a hold of in this area. Some other states are more liberal.
Okay, well, no, here also you have to have at least 50% in food sales also.
Yes, depending, and then there's also a retail packaging license and wholesale packaging license as well. So do your research. Good job, though.
All right, thank you.
Great job bringing that up. Gabriel, what's up?
Yeah, those liquor licenses can make you or break you. I mean, there's this guy in town, he's still waiting to get his liquor license. He's decided to finally open, but he's opening a bar without any liquor. So, but I mean, he's been pushed, and he's already had the building and been working on it for like 8 months. So I mean, he's got no choice. He's got to get that liquor. I mean, he's got to make his money. So I mean, it is no joke. He probably should cook him some food and take it down to.
Yeah, liquor's not all. It's not all that's made up to be. It gets a little tricky. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Gabriel. Alexandria, did you have another question? Are you all good?
Oh no, I'm all good. I forgot to put my hand down.
Okay. What about you, Mary Lou?
I learned that living in the South, the liquor license and all that, not just the liquor license, how hard it is to get them, but coming across dry counties on the weekend.
Yeah.
That has like a total different spin. I know it was like an eye-opener for us the first time we went into I think it might have been a gas station or something to buy alcohol on a Sunday. And they're like, yeah, no. We're like, oh, we have to wait. They're like, no, it's a dry county on Sundays. So I didn't understand that until I went back and I read into it. So that's something to really take into consideration, especially if you're from places that doesn't exist and you intend to go somewhere else different. Yeah, look into that. I know that was like an eye-opener.
That's a great point that you talk about going county to county. There is no liquor law that runs across all 50 states, which is completely bizarre. here in the beautiful United States of America. Each county, each state is completely different. And that's why we don't get too much into liquor laws here in this class, because I can't tell you what's going on in your community, but they get tough out there. Demara Liz, what's going on?
I have a question. Would it hurt a restaurant not to have a liquor license, or would it be, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to open a small restaurant, not something big, but without no liquor at all ever being served. But a lot of people always keep asking me, why do you not want no liquor served? That'll bring more customers and bring more into your business.
You got to remember, liquor attracts. No liquor doesn't attract. I mean, I know how simple that sounds, right? So a lot of people love to go out and have a glass of wine, love to go out and have a cocktail before dinner and that kind of stuff. So they won't patronize your establishment if you don't have the liquor, right? However, there's a couple of ways around that. And I know most states are pretty open to this, which is the BYOB laws, bring your own wine. And then what restaurants do to make revenue off of that is we charge what is called a corkage fee, which goes ahead to cover the cost of the glassware and everything else. So
I never thought about that.
That's an option. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions before we move on to week 4? Yeah. Week 4, ladies and gents, we got into the heart of the house, right? I think that was probably everybody's favorite, wasn't it? Everybody like that one? Yeah. Chefs love to do that. So we learned about all the essential parts to a kitchen, about our prep areas, our receiving areas. We talked about having to lay it out. I know Paul was mentioning some of the stuff about the equipment a little earlier and where to place it, and back of the house design. Gabriel posted that picture in last week's presentation of all that dish area where they had to tear it up and working on all that plumbing. This is where all that stuff comes into play. This is the huge money. This is where you're going to drop your biggest dime in the kitchen. We talked about an average cost right now in the United States of around $250,000 just to build your shell of your kitchen, and that doesn't include your equipment and everything else. This is a major investment, so you have to really think things through before you actually do it. Who wants to share something about week 4? Erica, I see you've got your hand up. Erica?
Hey, so week 4 was horrible. Week 3 was horrible for me. Like, I worked at Burger King, and I worked in the cafeteria, school cafeteria, but I never really worked in the kitchen, so I really don't know where to place stuff. I didn't know where the sinks needs to be. I didn't know where the stove needed to be. I was all over that place. If you look at my stuff, it looks a mess.
That's okay. That's not a problem, because that's what we're here to learn and to understand where all that equipment ends up and the right place to put it. So it's far.
I was opening the kitchen now. It will just, oh my God, it'll be horrible.
Well, when you're ready to do that, you reach out, you give me a call, and I'll talk you through it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ashley, what's up?
With week 3 to 4, because it was kind of in between. I had headaches in a couple of weeks, but anyway, within those weeks, going to the floor of it, like when I first did my first week, and then we had the placement setting, I placed it the way I thought it would because I wanted it to flow, and that's when I did with the flowing of it. And then I had to put basically just one little stove on the other side because of a certain other food that would be handled on that side. And then I was like, they told me that was wrong, and I'm like, because everything needs to be on one side. But how it would have flown is that I even in that week 3, I even put that this one section will flow this way and this one section will flow out that way, understanding that it's just 2 different components going, but it says it's not right. So I'm back to square one, because even though everything was nice and neat and organized, it's saying everything has to be on this one side. So you tell me you can't have a kitchen that has different components working in different ways? Like, let's say you have your cold side and your hot side, or your cold side may have one little prep that does need a little small burner that you can use on that side, and then your hot side has everything, like your fryer, your heat, your everything such as that. You put a refrigerator on that side, and on the cold side you have a small refrigerator. So it could go that way.
Everything is designed to flow forward.
Right. It was flowing forward from the walk-in storage to the, prep area to the
dining room.
door, right, to the dining room, out the door.
Right.
But it's just that one side was cold, one side was hot. Like,
can you send me your assignment? Can you send me your link? And I want to take a look at it.
Okay.
How about that? And
well,
then,
I didn't move everything now, but okay, we're gonna refresh it.
Because I want to make sure that you you understand this all the way. So just send me your link. We'll talk about it. Okay.
All right.
Chef, can I bring in something?
Sure. Go ahead. What's up?
When you have a hot side, everything that's hot has to have a vent hood.
Correct.
Everything it has to have a vent hood. So if you have multiple hots, you have multiple vent hoods. And I think that's where Ashley or Chef Suzanne may have been saying you can't do this because you have to have a vent hood for everything that's gas or heated up. I think that's maybe where that's just where I got out of it, what I heard.
Possibility, yeah. So I want to take a look at it. Thanks for sharing that, Charles. Anybody else want to share about the front of the design of the back of the house? Yeah, Ronald, what's up, man?
Okay.
There you
go. For I think it was week 4, the back of the house design. You put it together with week 1, and the way you put your menus together. I guess this probably had something to do with the whole assignment. The whole 6 weeks is labor. You never really think about labor and creating a menu, and the way week 1 was set up, and designing the kitchen for week 4. It kind of helped me basically to decide whether I can being you don't really think about opening a restaurant and how much labor you're going to need.
Yeah.
But it helps with designing your menu and your equipment to see whether I'm going to be able to do it myself or needing extra help. And also with designing the kitchen and the flow of your menu. That really opened up my eyes and to see that, I can design my menu on, to see whether if I can basically handle, that kitchen by myself for the first 6 months before I would need to hire, extra help. So
it's eye-opening, Yeah, it's difficult. The large, and now that you've, once you actually the location assignment, we talked a lot about menu pricing and understanding how much you can pay for your restaurant. In those numbers, you're able to extract what you could afford for labor between the front of the house and the back of the house. Labor is something that we didn't get into too much in this class, but that is going to be your second biggest challenge in the industry. Food is one, and then labor is the other. Those are your 2 biggest variable expenses. You're constantly battling them, day in, day out. Yeah. Great points there, Ronald. Thank you. Gabriel, what's up, man?
Yeah, I was gonna touch on Ashley's point. I've worked in some crazy kitchens where it's like, why do the chicken's here, it's got to go in the fryer, then it's got to go in the oven on the other side of the line. That's really where where the teamwork comes in and communication basically, and having having that fluidness with your staff and just rocking it out. Like, I know it's 20 feet away, but I got 4 hands in between, so we're passing it down. Sometimes it's annoying. I mean, why don't we just put a little oven or a burner? Like, let me grab the little propane one we use for catering jobs. Let me set it up right here. Instead of putting on the saute onions, let me just saute them right here for the salads, whatever. And it does. I understand the whole hood situation, but within that, and sometimes things don't make sense, but I really believe when you're in situations like that, that's where the communication is really key. And
Great point. Great point. It's all possible. I've worked in some funk houses before and some really funky kitchens, and sometimes you just got to make it work with what you got. Yeah. Thanks, Gabriel. Mary Lou, what's up?
For the week 4, what I kind of did, and it helped me, was remember of places I've worked at and how much where things were located that annoyed the crap out of me, that made no sense to me. How to avoid that. And I just started kind of backwards. For some reason, that's how I do everything. I started off with a kitchen. It's like with my dishes, where are those going to get done? Okay, get that little squared away. Like everybody says, yes, the hood is such a big thing that we need, and it's so expensive. And if you're having sections all through your kitchen where you're needing these hoods, it's like, are you going to fork over all this money just for hoods versus additional equipment you could be using?
Right.
It doesn't make sense at times, but it's like on the cost, it does. That's where I see that's what Chef Suzanne was trying to get us to flow more into our thinking. It's like, yeah, your layout works great in your mind, but food cost efficiency, when you're going to get it all put together, how much more are you going to spend by doing that?
Part of our mindset currently, as you're going into industry, your traditional mindset is your home. And if it doesn't work in this spot, you can move it to this spot. Well, in the restaurant industry, it's a little different, because once you put that hood system in, that's where it's going to stay, because those things aren't mobile, right? So you have to think in a completely different fashion. It's a different world. Great comment. Let's move on to week 5 quickly. We'll blow through this pretty fast before we get on to this week's assignment. We learned about restaurant exteriors and operational flow. And we talked about footsteps earlier, and I know a lot of people were thinking about footsteps. And then we shared our concepts with other students, and I really liked the discussion forum. I thought there was some great information in there, and I really appreciated what everybody shared. But how did that operational flow assignment go? Did that change anybody's thought process? Yeah? Don.
Hey, how are you?
There you are.
Yeah, my neighbor's house caught on fire, and I was actually putting it out. So
okay.
I'm full of soot, and I'm not turning the camera on. Sorry, I look like it just looked bad. I liked.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no, they're good too. They're good. They PCS, and they weren't even home. So, the thing this week, I really enjoyed this week, and looking at the flow, and not having as many crossovers. And it's kind of like what Ashley was saying. I had one side that was like a prep station, and I had a different door for them to go out with bacon goods and things like that. And hot side stay to the hot side, like I think Charles was saying, like separate the two, and for safety reasons too. So I really liked it. I think the peer critique was my best suit, because I saw so many wonderful ideas and concept, and they were crazy. They were all over the place. And unfortunately, I didn't know anyone in my group. And it was like, dang it, because it's hard to critique someone when they really don't know without offending someone, but I think I was very cordial in my writings. I think I even rewrote a few concepts for people for ideas to show them their vision, refocus their vision based off of just photos, because they didn't really have a good concept, or they didn't know what to write. And it was good because it was drawing that out. And I even had some people critique mine, which was great. And I actually applied it to the design. So I went back in and changed it and wrote back and said, hey, this works out great. Without that critique and having that, I would have never thought of that.
That is why that is so valuable. I'm so glad you brought that up, Don. I know you were extremely active in the discussion forum. I was going through that, and I appreciated all those comments. They try to keep us out of them a little bit, so I'm glad that you were that active. And the feedback, and a lot of us have a tendency to, humility is a very difficult thing for a lot of us, because we get ideas in our heads and we're convinced they're the best. But sharing that information and getting feedback from other people about, hey, what about this? What about moving that? What about doing this? That's how things get better in the restaurant industry. So, be open to that mentality. And I thank you for sharing, Don.
Yeah, no worries. I think it was a lot of people were afraid to say things to other students and things of that nature, and they got to look past that. And I think Charles was saying it earlier, that knowledge You know, you got to have that. And being is someone of his caliber or someone else who's been doing this, you know, certain perspective on things, you bring a lot of validity to it. And you have to be open-minded, like you're just saying. You really have to in this business. And it's not personal, it's professional in what we're trying to achieve. And I love the challenges. I saw some awesome ones that I was just like, man, I was like, mine's kind of crappy now. But
I was looking at some of the postings in the discussion forum, and I'm like, where were you when I was trying to open up one of my restaurants, man? I would have hired you in a heartbeat.
Right. But this was a good week. I really enjoyed it. I wish we would take the peer review or critique, if you want to call it that, a week earlier, because it could help us in developing that team concept better. And really bringing in people like Charles or someone who's got, you know, everyone, Gabriel, everyone who's got a bit to offer that we could really play on and be like, man, this would be really cool.
You should put that into your survey.
I did.
Okay, good suggestion.
I did.
Thanks for sharing, Don. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Ashley, did you have another comment? Were you raising your hand?
Yeah, my comment was just hats off to Donald because he was just calm about having to put a fire out to someone's home. He was very calm and professional about that. And also, I wanted to say about what we did with the floor things. Like he was saying, when you were able to go read other people's comments, you looked at their vision, and it was just amazing because it helped me say, well, you know, I have to rethink how things go in my flow or how things are in my back of the house, because even the front of the house, one girl had a balcony, and it was just amazing. I'm like, her mind was just so creative. So it really helped others open up more for what they wanted for their vision.
So yeah, awesome job in that discussion forum, everybody. Exposure. So great job. Hey, we're going to go through this real quick because we're running a little bit further behind. My co-host isn't here to keep me on path tonight. So, you know, I'm kind of wandering a little bit. You know, Chef Suzanne and I talked to you about this, the importance of this class during week 1. And when I think about this, we mentioned to all of you that, hey, regardless of where you go and what you do in this industry, the stuff that you learn in this class is going to be applicable and it's going to apply to your career. Does everybody agree with that? Now that you're through it? Yeah. So whether you go on to ownership or whether you stay as a line cook or whether you stay as an executive chef or chef in your career, everything that you've learned over the last 5 weeks so far in this class is applicable to what you'll be doing. I talked to you about Raheem, the breakfast cook. Trust me, when we relayed that kitchen out, who did I lean on? You know, Raheem, right? Because he knew it inside and out. Let's take a look at this week's assignment. It's kind of cool because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what if for this week. And a lot of restaurants go under or they have struggles because they do not have what is called a contingency plan. If you go to open up your restaurant, in your mind, everything is going to be beautiful, cherry. You're going to open the door, the crowds are going to come in, you're going to cook, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to go home. That's what we think as human beings. It does not work that way all the time, so you have to have what we call contingency plans. So, taking a look at this week's assignment, you're going to name 3 things you can do to make your business flow more efficiently. We all just talked about the last 5 weeks, and I just heard a lot of great comments about things that people could do differently, right? From the space to buying different pieces of equipment. All of that is applicable. The second thing that you're going to write each one of these at least one full sentence. Imagine your sales are 50% of what you anticipated. What layout or design changes would you make to decrease cost and accommodate slower times and lower sales? 3, imagine your sales are double what you anticipated. What layout or design changes can you make to adjust for higher sales volume? What a great problem, right? That's beautiful. Finally, what do you see as the biggest obstacle in executing your menu in your current design? What can you do to fix this? So over here, big red letters. Don't forget, everything is due this Sunday, March 31st, no later than that. I'm going to go through this next part real super quick since we're running over a little bit. But once again, this is posted on your class page. So if you need to refer back to this, it's there. It's on the week 6 class page, week 6 presentation. Mandy, did you have a quick question?
super quick, what changes you make in your layout and design, would that include your staff?
No, because they're not layout or design.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought so. Thanks.
Okay. So taking a look at our first question, do not copy these and submit these. These are for examples only, right? So don't do that. Name 3 things you could do. These are just things that just popped into the head of my, or into my head real quick. The size of the kitchen space could be altered to achieve better organization. Hey, maybe I should shrink the space that I'm using. Maybe I could move my fryer and my grill closer together so I would save footsteps. I would replace the 6-burner stove with a combination unit. Maybe if I got rid of that big piece of equipment and I put a smaller piece of equipment in there, that I had an oven and a flat top and a salamander, I could be a little bit more efficient. The bar area should be located near the entrance to accommodate waiting guests and increase beverage sales. So those are some types of the responses that we are looking for to name 3 things you can do to make your business flow more efficiently. As far as imagine your sales are 50% of what you anticipated, this happens to a lot of restaurants and people do not react quickly. The restaurant business, the key to success in the restaurant business is proaction before reaction. Too many restaurateurs become reactive to issues, never become reactive to an issue, always be proactive. So, your sales are down. What are you going to do? You cannot stand there and wait for them to come back. So what layout or design changes would you make? The dining room would be redesigned so that during slower times, one server could accommodate the guest, right? I'd like maybe section it off somehow. The layout would be altered to allow easier access to the kitchen, the bar. Maybe I could push some of my larger tables back near the entrance or the exit. This way only one server would have to take care of everybody. Add additional refrigeration units to the hotline area. Maybe we could start keeping prepared items on the hotline, which they could be prepared in bulk. I would have to have less cooks. That would save some of my cost. So that is some of the changes that you could do if your sales were to be less. Imagine your sales are double what you anticipated. What layout or design changes would you make? What a great problem. I'd love to have this. Add additional 2 tops to create more flexibility in the dining room for larger groups. Develop a second server bus area to ease congestion in the dining room. That way my staff could move a little bit quicker. Purchase a warming unit to hold prepared foods such as starches and braised meats. This would reduce hotline ticket times. So those are the types of answers that we're looking for. Everybody's concepts are awesome, but we could always make them a little bit better. So we want you to look at them objectively this week and decide what you could do to make it a little bit better. Any questions about that? Anyone? Mandy? Did you have another question? No? Ladies and gents, we talked.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
No worries, no worries. I have really enjoyed working with all of you, and I've had some of you for multiple classes, and I hope that we can stay in touch. Just because we are at the end of this class does not mean we have to terminate the relationship. Certainly shoot us an email, Chef Suzanne, and I'd love to hear your successes, and we also love to answer your questions. We are here as a source for you and a support for you as well. So I wish everybody the best of luck. This class has been awesome, and I wish Chef Suzanne was here, but unfortunately she's not with us this evening. But I hope everybody has a great day. Everybody take care.
Thank you, Chef. It's good to see you.
Thank you.